All right, I'm gonna walk you through the beginning of your shed project. So like on Schoology, these are the design constraints that you must have for your utility shed. So quickly, it should just be 12 foot by 18 foot size, 8-foot high walls, wood frame construction. Exterior wall should include clapboard siding, wall sheathing, studs, and interior gypsum wallboard. Have a gable roof, one exterior door, an interior partition wall creating two separate rooms inside of the shed, an interior door between the two rooms, and at least two windows, one window in each room. So we're going to open up Revit and start a new architectural template project. So just a couple things to note. These little guys here are our cameras. So whatever you make needs to be inside of these cameras. You can move them around if needed, but for our shed, it should easily fit inside of the cameras. So one other thing you're going to want to do when you first start a project is do some naming. So you can see over in our project browser that it has level 1 and level 2. Level 1 and level 2 is kind of confusing because level 1 could be the third floor of a building with two subfloors. It could be the ground floor. It could be all kinds of things. So we want to change these so we know exactly what they are and we're not confused. So I'm going to right click on it and rename, and I'm going to call this one the floor. And when I hit enter, you're probably going to get a little pop-up that says, do you want to change this name for anywhere that it says level 1? Click yes. I clicked a little box that says, do not ask me this again, because I always wanted to do that. So you can see that this became floor, that became floor. But level 2 it still says level 2. So click yes on that little pop-up. And then I'm going to do on my level 2, rename this to be roof. And again, I'm going to hit enter, and you might have that pop up again unless you click the little box that says do not ask me again, but you want it to rename it roof for anywhere that it said level 2. So we want to start drawing our shed. So one thing you do need to be careful of is to make sure that you are on the correct floor that you want to draw on. So making sure that up here on these tabs that you are not on the roof. We want to be on the floor, and you can even close the roof for right now. We want to be on our floor view, and we're going to draw our walls. So we're going to go 18 by 16. So I'm going to click and drag, and I can get my sizes in there. So we'll do 16. I'm going to actually get in closer so I can get my numbers, and 18. And as you can see, as I do this other wall that is parallel to that first one that I drew, it does kind of snap to that edge. So really quick and easy, I can snap that other one, and there we go. So I'm going to go back to my little modify button. This is kind of how you close out of any tools. If I would have stayed in my wall and I kept clicking, it would have just kept drawing walls. So I'm going to go to this modify button. And one thing, I've already messed up the sizing. So to change the sizing on a wall, we want it to be 12 by 16, not 18 by 16. So when you click on a wall, the perpendicular wall, it tells you the measurement. So when I click on this one, it shows me that this one on the bottom is 16. That one's okay. So I'm going to click on that bottom one, and it shows me that perpendicular to it says 18. So I'm going to click on that number and change it to 12 feet. And it automatically modifies. So I want to make these numbers always show up, showing that it's 12 by 16. So I can click this little button here and make it a temporary dimension. And I can go to the bottom and do the same thing down there. So now those dimensions will stay there even if I click away. You can make them permanent dimensions or locking them in by clicking in again, and there is this little lock. So if I do that, it won't let me change the dimension of this wall anymore without throwing up some errors. But I don't want to. I want to make sure that these walls stay this 12 by 16 because that is one of our requirements for our shed. So I'm going to lock in both of those. All right, so next thing we want to do is check the height of our walls because default in Revit is making the height of our walls 20 feet, and that is not very common height of walls. So I'm actually going to go to my elevation plan. I'm just going to choose east. All right, so here we are in our elevation plan. So as you can see, we have a floor and the roof. Our roof is set at 10 feet right now, and the wall is obviously twice as high at 20 feet. We're actually going to modify our roof to only be at 8 feet tall. So I'm going to select that measurement and do 8 feet. And now I can modify my walls to also be 8 feet. So there's a couple ways to do it. I'm going to first click a wall, and you can see I have these arrows and the dimensions. You can either type in the dimension or drag these arrows, and it'll actually snap to that roof line. So pretty handy. We'll do the other wall, and this one I'll type it in, 8 feet. So two of the walls I've edited to be only 8 feet. So before we do the other ones, I want to show you in our 3D view. So our 3D view, we're going to click this little default 3D view button up in the top. And you can see our little shed with 2 tall walls and 2 short walls. So a couple navigation things. So you can zoom with your mouse with the scroll wheel. So you can go in and out with the mouse. To pan sideways, I'm going to hold that wheel and then move my mouse sideways. And to orbit around or rotate around my structure, I'm going to hold the shift key and that wheel, and I can spin around. All right, so this cube thing up in the corner is pretty tricky to use. So I would not recommend it. Will just throw you off a little bit more. So I'd recommend using the mouse like you can. So then we're going to change these other wall heights to be 8 feet. So again, you can drag it. You can set the height. Another way is over in your properties. You can type it in here too. So 8 feet. And also in the properties, you could choose, like if you wanted to go up to a certain level. So like I wanted to go up to the roof. And there we go. So there is our little shed walls so far. So that is the end of our part 1 of our shed project.